you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am good. I'm ready for this show. I'm excited to be here. I told folks that we were going live today, so hopefully they're out there joining us from Twitter, from Facebook, from YouTube. Howdy, everybody.
Tony.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here with us. We are so excited. We have another amazing topic. And first of all, hi, Jen. How are you today? How's your day been going?
Oh, it's busy. You know, it's one of those days where like everything is in the beginning half. And then it's like, you know, when you're planning like the day before, you're like, I just need to get to this point in time. And then you can breathe. I'm at the tail end of it.
I hear you, sister. I hear you. I know I was up till, well, you know how late I was up till last night. Yeah. And you were hanging with me for some of that time. And I know, I think Thursday nights, and then I have to work till 10 o'clock tonight. So with my editor. So I'm just like, okay, make it through 10:30 tonight.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I love this. It's so exciting. And it's like, it's just one of those things you're just running on adrenaline. And that's what keeps me going. So I'll crash later. But with that said, you know, it's always great because I can see and I can feel the progress that we're making with a lot of exciting things that we have coming up. And so, you know, that's the difference when you're doing it for yourself. And it's even a much more bigger difference when you have an amazing partner to do it with, because it's not fun to do everything by yourself. So I just love it. I love that you're so amazing. And I just thank you for your support, your friendship, and your love and your partnership.
Aw, big heart. Am I doing that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I took a picture like that. You know, that heart background. We have these photos. We've never met each other in real life, by the way. But ironically, there's these photos we have, and we have a similar heart background. And it's so interesting to see the synergy that we have in a lot of things that we do. But that heart background picture, I have one, and I was like, the heart, it was like not a heart. I looked later on, I was like, what was I doing? It looked like this. Like, obviously I do not know my anatomy, and I was like,
it's like you gotta be really
like this. Yeah,
it's like an amoeba, you know.
It was like some organic bean or something like laying. Like, that was not. You do not love me.
Oh my gosh, you are hilarious. Oh my gosh. Oh, so thank you so much, Tony, for being out there, for joining us.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Are we ready to jump into this today, Jen?
Yes, let's do it. Do you have the question, or do you want me to read it?
Can you read it?
Let me find it. Here we go.
Okay. Yeah, I've got all my cameras up. I've got all my iPads up. So I'm watching everybody. So on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. So
I know, it's like, it literally is a whole production thing. And it's so funny when you have the opportunity to talk to either one of us about behind the scenes that like this wall's not real. So this week's episode in question, hey, we keep it real on this show.
And that thing fell on me last night. So
I know, I was telling her, like, whatever you do, I need you tomorrow, okay? Like, do not get hurt. So because it wouldn't be the same. It would not, yeah. So here's the question. I always hear the phrase, think about what it is or is not serving you. Could you please expand on this? I want to know because I think there are certain things or people that are not really filling my soul. And I want to know how to look at or better understand, one, what is not serving me, and two, what can I do about it? So yeah, that's what was submitted.
All right. So let's get right into this. So really, I think it, you know, as we said on our IG Live earlier, bringing it down to basics, to really getting simple and the foundational, you know, aspects of what this is. Because as you had mentioned, what was the term that you used earlier?
What was the term? Oh,
the phraseology.
Oh, that phrase.
Yeah.
Yes. I know. Yeah. I don't even know if that's a real word.
That's okay. We like it. We're going with it.
We're using it.
So yeah, sometimes we hear that phrase, those phrases, those catchy phrases, those terms, those idioms of sorts. And we hear these and we think, what are they? What are they talking about? And a lot of times we get caught up in the cerebral, right? Up here. And me and Jen, we really like to nerd out. We're like, nerds.
Totally.
So, and we love it. Like, we totally dig that kind of stuff. But we need to get to basics sometimes to just understand these concepts, right? So this phrase or this idiom of sorts of what is serving you, what is not serving you, is really about embracing or letting go of the people, places, thoughts, emotions, circumstances, situations that take up space, your time and your energy within you, in your being, that are either helping you grow, and if they're detracting from your growth process and moving forward, that's time to maybe look at what is not serving you. If they're actually supporting you, they're part of that close-knit network, even if you don't have exactly the same, you don't align on everything the same, that's okay. But if you're helping each other, raising each other up, growing together, this does not have to be, as Jen mentioned in a previous show, this can be a friendship. This can be a situation. This can be a relative. This can be an intimate relationship. This can be a friendship. This can be a lot of different things, a lot of different people in your life. We have to look at whether or not those situations, those relationships are serving us best or not.
Yeah. Jen? And I think it's so important that I know as coaches, or for those of you who are watching who are coaches, we sometimes, and it doesn't even really matter what industry or business you come from, a lot of times we get so caught up in our own vernacular that we forget that when you start dropping acronyms, you start using terminology that's only specific to your industry, we forget that and I come from a marketing, design, branding background, and so it's like I always think about the messaging, like, yeah, we understand that internally, but the people that you're trying to serve and help are not going to understand how you can help them because we're so caught up in our lingo. And so sometimes how does that serve you? What is that? I sometimes think that that's a very, very well understood phrase in the coaching world. But like this person that submitted this question, like, well, what does that mean? What the heck? Because I remember about I want to say maybe more than 10 years ago, 13 years ago, I remember hearing that. And I remember I could kind of make out what do you mean? How does that serve me? Yeah. I know this is gonna sound so stupid, but I thought about like food, like a food coming out on a plate. And I was like, I've never thought of that question, and it was asked of me, and I remember thinking like, I don't know, because I was in a particular situation at that time, and the person that was asking me this question knew that the situation I was in wasn't healthy, and yet I continued to stay in it. And so she asked me, well, she's like, you're in this for a reason. Yeah. Even though it might have been positive or negative, she's like, you're in this for a reason. So how is that serving you? Because sometimes that other people outside of us may know or may see that it's not a good thing for you to be in. But for some reason, it is serving you, whether that's positive or negative, because there's a reason why you're still there.
Exactly. And sometimes it really is about breaking down the language, understanding, doing that reflection, so you really yourself have a better idea of what you're thinking about, how you're wrapping your mind around this terminology, this ideology of sorts. Yeah. So you're so right, Jen. When we get caught up in whatever framework of work that you do, whatever profession that you do, we get caught up in our own lingo, getting cerebral. There's definitions, like even in like the medical field or the clinical field, we use PO, PRN, titrate, all these things that it's like, what are you doing? And sometimes people had to remind me like, ooh, you're getting caught up in here, you got to be relatable. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah. Because you study. And sometimes that language can be isolating. Mm-hmm. That can isolate others from you, and you can isolate yourself from them. So it really is about breaking down the language. So we really wanted to just kind of break this down because we thought it was really important to understand what it means to something to serve you. We don't mean like, here's some dinner or here's some, no, what is serving your soul? What is within you that is setting you on fire, that is like supporting you, that is pushing you forward, that is growing, whether it's you, how you feel emotionally, what kind of friends that you're around, partnerships, thoughts, your own thoughts, places that you're around, that you visit, that you live in, that you idealize. Say, for instance, you think about your home. Now, what comes to mind when you think about your home? Is it something that is serving you? Is something that's positive, that is pushing you forward? Are they good feelings, or is something that draws you back and is like oppressive? It's weighing on you. I talked to this guy one time, Jen, and you know what happened? I told him, I said, my husband and I are going to a race and we're going over here to watch this race, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to join us? He and his wife. And he's like, no, that's where I grew up. I will never go back there ever again. And he was so like, he was so adamant about like, no.
That's a no.
I mean, he was clear about his boundaries, right?
Yeah.
But it was very obvious that place, I'm not even talking a person, but that place did not serve him well. It brought up memories. It, churned up like these feelings inside of him that just did not serve him. And it was like, whoa, okay, I'm going to listen to you. I hear what you're saying. And I still thought, wow, there needs to, hopefully that he's doing some reflection as to why, and he can grow, maybe not return there, but understand why he's carrying that around with him. And so this is really important. So when we talk about what's serving you, what are we carrying around that's not serving us in regards to our mindset, our thoughts, our circumstances, the spaces that we find ourselves in? Now, I do want to go through this step by step too today, because I think it's so important that we go through the steps of understanding and defining the whole idea of what is or what is not serving you, right?
Yeah.
But why do we stay in places that are not serving us? Or why do we stay with people that are not serving us? That would be the next step, something else to think about. And I have a list of things that I can kind of go over really quickly as to why we might do that. So for you people out there, why do you think that you would stay in a situation or with somebody that is not necessarily serving your soul, lifting you up, growing with you? I ask you, I want to hear your answers. I want your input. So, but what I will say is there are a few things. There are a few things as to why we stay put, why we feel we are grounded to something when we're not actually, is because number one is it's familiar. It is familiar. We know it. We are accustomed to it, whether or not that's a person, a place, a situation. It is comfortable to a degree, yet not necessarily satisfying.
That's the key part, not satisfying.
Right. And I, as I was thinking about these things, I'm like, yeah, we're comfortable, but it is not satisfying. It is not just satisfying, but it is not filling our soul. It is not helping us grow. It is not contributing to our well-being, right? And we have sometimes we have these unhealthy attachments. And sometimes these unhealthy attachments come from situations where, where you've grown up with something or a situation or a place, and you're just like, okay, well, I've grown up here, or that's the way it's always been. And we start rationalizing this stuff, right? Yeah. And it's like, whoa.
I cringe when I hear that language, because my immediate reaction is, so what? And you can't make a choice. Again, we talk about choice being superpower. Yeah. So just because it's been that way, you're just going to let it stay that way. Like, it doesn't even, when you really step back, it doesn't even make any logical sense.
It doesn't. But here's the thing. We get caught in this trap of rationalization, right? We get caught up here here about why we would part or depart from doing a certain behavior, right? So, or apart from a certain person because of that maybe unhealthy attachment. We call that in the clinical field. Do you know what we call that? We call that enmeshment.
Oh, I had a different word, but no.
Yeah.
Not for the show.
That's for another show.
Enmeshment?
Enmeshment.
Enmeshment. That kind of reminds me of the Jada Pinkett Smith entanglement.
Enmeshment. And that's kind of when you're connected, but in not so healthy ways. And so we develop this over time, and there's reasons why we develop it. And we'll get into that on another show, but I just want to kind of bring up that term because it really isn't something positive. It's something that's not great. That enmeshment is meaning that you're overlapping with somebody else's values, and those values don't necessarily align with yours, but yet you're still there, and you're still like, oh, but I get it. I understand it, but, and when you start hearing that but is like this red flag to like, you should pay attention. Maybe this isn't serving you. And so
is that right? Or is there an N? Enmeshment or
enmeshment? Yeah. So let's see. You're going to make me go and spell this. So
yeah, because that's a cool word. I like it. Now I'm going to use it. Oh.
So
and the next time someone calls me with a problem, I'm going to be like, oh, you know what? You're in an enmeshment.
Okay. So it's ENMESHMENT. So it's a description of a relationship between two or more people in which personal boundaries are permeable and unclear. So it's just really unclear. Like I said, the boundaries are unclear, the values are unclear, and it's just like you're kind of aligning, but not knowing why, and it's not in a healthy way. And so there's also another factor here. As I run down these factors, the familiarity, comfort yet not satisfying, attachments, maybe unhealthy attachments, and you're not seeing, Jen, have you ever been in the situation where you're just like, you're going along in life and you're like, something doesn't feel so well in this relationship or situation, but you're like, yeah, but this is either meeting the bills, or I know that they're asking me to do things that aren't necessarily right at my job, but I have to be here. Or I know that I'm in this relationship, but I'm feeling a lot of guilt and there's a lot of manipulation here, but I'm going to still stay in it. That's not, when you start having those feelings and those thoughts, what would you do?
I think, I've been in all of it, whether it was a job I absolutely hated, a boss I couldn't stand, a relationship, I don't know why the hell I'm staying in it. I've been through all of it. And then you get into this, sometimes that guilt and blame is external, but sometimes it's from inside. Yeah. And then you end up in this weird, confusing ball where you're just like, well, I know I shouldn't, but then I will. And then you just kind of, I know I've done this. I'll just kind of push it aside. Like, I'm not ready to deal with this right now. I hate it, but you know what? There's so many other things I got to do. I'll just deal with this later. And it kind of just gets pushed to the wayside. And then it just continues and continues. And it's just like this drawn out, yucky thing. And so, yeah, I've been there. It's not fun. Not fun.
And it's so funny because in our previous show, one of the people who was engaging with us said, we give chance after chance and second chances and third chances. But who are we not giving that second and third chance to?
Ourselves.
And I was like, holy heck, that's so good.
Yeah.
That is so good. We forget about ourselves and all of that, right? So it's like, dang. Here's the other factor that we get caught up in. And sometimes it's like, wow, okay, why do we stay here? Why are we in this situation? Or why are we in this circumstance, right? Because of the fear of the unknown. I know I've been there, of like, I don't know what's on the other side, or I don't know. But I also know that I've been to a place where it's like, I've been there and I'm like, yet I'm still going to take that chance. I'm still going to jump out of this and I'm going to go and make sure that I achieve that goal, even though it's scary. Even though I'm leaving my network, I'm still going to do it. And I was like, holy heck, I got in a car at 22 years old and I drove from California to Connecticut.
Oh my gosh.
And I drove across the country. My grandmother said, take a friend. I took a friend and I went off to law school, and I had a boyfriend in California. I had this, this person I had been with for a few years. And I was like, but I can't. I have to see what happens. I can't just stay here because it's not because I didn't love that person. It's because I still had to do what I needed to do for me to achieve my goals. But it was an unknown. It was scary. I was scared. I was young. And it was like, I had never driven across country. I've driven to a few states, but not across country.
Yeah.
And especially not that being that young, right? But I was like, heck, I'm going to do it.
I love that you did that. I mean, you know, think about it. We run across so many people who like, you know, I had this idea or I always wanted to, and then they never have.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of my fears. I would say like getting to the end of my life and looking back and go like, wow, I didn't do that yet. And having that regret. So I rather have tried it and then totally sucked at it and failed.
Yeah.
But then being like having that conversation or saying that at my deathbed or something like that. And I have to commend you because not many people would have been able to just like leave a relationship.
Yeah.
And go pursue that because you just never know. And it's like, I love that you did that for yourself. That was, and you know, some people are like, well, that's so selfish. No, I really think it was such a selfless act because you did that for yourself. And then you can look back and go like, you know what, at least I know. Because if you had stayed, you know, you might have been thinking, oh my gosh, you know, there was a time when I was going to go across the country and school and I never did it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad, especially when it comes to like academics and career wise and whatnot. There are so many people who think about a career path that they wanted to take or some path that they always had dreamed of and they never done it.
True. I mean, it was scary as heck. You know, I was 22 and I was going to law school. And let me tell you, that was one of the most demanding, difficult things I've ever done outside of my doctorate. But it's, you know, and all the surgeries, all of this, that was scary as hell. And yet I did it. And I surprised even myself because I had asked that boyfriend, do you want to go? And he said, no. It's my husband today, right? And he said, no, I don't want to go. And I was just like, okay, I got to do this. I got to do this. So here we are today. We're still together. Yay. But I did it, you know? So it's like sometimes fear keeps us stuck. Fear keeps us there. It keeps us in because we don't know the variables. We don't know the factors. We don't know the unknowns. And yet we can have, and back in my day, we didn't have the internet like when I was 22, right? So I couldn't look up all these things and think, oh my gosh, like we have like, you know, all these different sites that we can go to and find out like the factors or look at the pictures of the place or, you know, any of that. We just got the brochure. Right?
It's completely different now. It's totally different. I remember when I used to heavily invest in real estate, there was no Google satellite map.
Right.
I mean, it was MapQuest, and then you type in there was no even, and in some parts of California, this is like some cities like Temecula, for example, is where I used to invest. It was all dirt.
Yes.
I mean, MapQuest didn't even have anything. I mean, it was one of those like the road ends, and then you're just like, where am I supposed? The house is supposed to be around here. I mean. And now you have Google Satellite, you can look up anything. And it's amazing how technology has changed those things. But what's so crazy is like when you look back into the past, you had less resources. So it ups the ante of that fear factor because you're going into more of an unknown.
Yeah. Even driving across the country, it was like, do I want to go, what was it, the 80, the 60, the 70, whatever it was, and then go up the 95. And like, I have a Thomas guide. I don't have Waze. I don't have
none of that.
None of that. I got this Thomas guide, and I'm like, okay, I can go here.
D4.
It's like a game of Battleship, right?
Oh yeah, you are in Wyoming now.
I know. I swear. I was coming back. I got lost through Pennsylvania. I got lost. I was trying to get to
Ohio. Coming back from Connecticut.
Yeah, I was trying to get to
like in the.
I'm serious.
I was like, left the 13 colonies, and you already got.
And you know what? Here's the deal, Jen. This is what I did. I was like, okay, if I'm in Pennsylvania, because I was making my way back, right, across the country, and I was trying to get to Ohio to visit some friends, and I was like, well, I'm up here in Hershey country. I'm like just like seeing the Amish. I'm doing this. I'm like, woo, okay, taking the sights. And here's the thing, you know, when people are like, oh my gosh, I made a wrong turn. Oh my, I just didn't stress out about it, right? So
I
it's
love
kind
that.
of how you think too, right?
Oh yeah,
What
yeah.
your mindset is. And so, yeah, we can fear the unknown, but it's also about kind of wrapping your mind around and saying, this is an adventure. This is something that I'm going to try.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. I wrote a blog article about that, and it was about scarcity versus abundance mindset. And that was actually one of the tips, was that in order to combat that, instead of looking at everything from a fearful perspective, look at it like this unknown is an adventure. So I love that you said that.
Okay, how do you spell scarcity? SCAR?
Uh-huh.
CITY?
Yes.
Scarcity versus abundance, because we're taking notes here. Abundance mindset, because I think there's some good things here being mentioned. You also, when you mentioned earlier about that post that you had written something, you had recently written a post about, not trying something versus trying something at the end of the road or at the end of life. And that was just, the regret. That was just recent, like in the last 2 days. And I loved it. I was looking at that and going, yes, exactly. You want to give yourself that opportunity and look back and go, at least I tried that.
Yeah, because that is not a good feeling, that regret. And it's mistakes are, again, it's all shifting perspective. If you look at the mistakes as learning lessons to not repeat it, that's healthy, because it's going to help you understand, like, okay, I've been here before, or like, don't, the classic example, don't touch the burning, hot stove type of thing. And so, but here's the thing, like when it comes to emotions, sometimes we just keep touching it. I know this hurts, but I'm just going to keep on doing it. And it's like, dude, what are you doing?
I know.
That's where you were talking about the first 5 minutes. That's where we're getting into that mode of rationalization again.
Exactly. I was laughing because when we were young, my grandparents had one of those stand-up heaters against the wall. And
I remember that. I had one of those I grew up in. Yes. Yeah. I would just stand in front of it. Yeah.
We would stand in front of it. But remember, you'd get so cold, you'd get closer and closer to it, and you'd like get these hashtags on your butt. And it's like, ow!
Yeah.
Don't do anything.
Too close. Were you standing in front of it naked? I mean,
and we're in a towel, and we're like, the towel comes off, and you're getting closer, and you're like, ah!
Yeah. I was pretty aware of that, because I knew it was hot, and I was like, okay, don't get too close. But oh my gosh, it totally brings back memories. The one I had was like a dark brown metallic. Yeah.
This was like a dark brown on the wall, and it was long.
Yeah, it was like the whole like a long rectangle.
Yeah, right. And it was like it was supposed to warm the whole house, so it's like in the middle of the house before the hallway, and then on the other side of the hallway, it had the other side of the heater.
Yeah.
So funny. Oh, the days. So the next one is, and this is a biggie too, Jen, that I wanted to mention, is guilt. Ooh. Guilt by oneself, like when you take on the guilt or impose guilt by others. So for instance, and we're talking about what is not serving you. So I mentioned guilt because many times if we're thinking about leaving somebody, someone, something, a place, starting to separate from those people or even a group of people, we start rationalizing, we start feeling bad. Oh my gosh, maybe it's me. We start like, kind of doubting our own boundaries, our own judgment.
Yeah.
And many times that stops us from making change. So I want you to really when you're reflecting, take a look at what kind of guilt you're taking on and the reason for that. And then there are people in maybe your family, let's say you're separating from somebody in your family and they're saying, or even a friendship, and it's like a group of friends and people are like, but why are you doing that? Do you really think that's necessary? Or blah, blah, blah. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe they're not serving that, you're not walking in alignment with the same values. And maybe that's just not serving you well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's so many factors as to why we stay stuck, as to why we stay with things that aren't serving us. But there's ways, here's a list of ways of things that we can do about it.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it. Okay. Yeah, the implementation and action.
Yes, the implementation, the action part, right? So I don't want to leave you guys without giving action, because I always say I love the rah-rah and the inspiration or bring about the information, but what can we apply? What is practical here? right? What's easy to do? So the first thing is self-reflection. So do you like where you're at in your life? Because of the choices that you have made. Are you happy? Not just content, but are you happy? And is where you're at and who you're with, is it growing you? Is that person growing with you? And then the next question I have that you might want to ask yourself, can this situation be better? Can I make this? Can I do something about it? Do you have a choice to do something about it? Oh, yeah, you have a choice. We always have choices. What is our superpower, Jen?
Choices.
Choice. The superpower is choice. And are you ready? Are you ready to do the work and let go of anything that is overwhelming you mentally, emotionally, physically, and or spiritually?
Yeah.
And it's a biggie. Like, what is overwhelming you in these different facets of your life, of your being, of your wellness? And this is wellness. I'm talking about your physical and mental health, your wellness. And then are you ready to identify your boundaries and stick to them? Once you know them, are you willing to stick to them? You know, it's like that mom or dad saying to the kid, you're grounded for ABC,
yeah.
right? But then like 2 hours later, they're like, okay, go out and play. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Do something that's related to the, you know, to the issue, to why you're punishing them, so to speak. Or, you know, I don't like the word punishment, but it's like, you know, why you are attaching that to, or those boundaries to a situation. Why are you doing it? And do you feel comfortable? And if you aren't feeling comfortable, that's okay too, because sometimes getting into the uncomfortable is when we start making changes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So are you clear on what your core values are? We talk about this all the time. Are you clear about what your core values are and you're able to assess what or who is not aligning with these values? Next one, are you ready to hone in with yourself about your relationships that are taxing you, that are draining you emotionally and physically and not contributing to your life in positive ways? Next question is, are you ready to stop rationalizing? We talked about this earlier, rationalizing other behaviors, true meaning, and if they have, and what the meaning is that they have in your life. And if you're ready to consider these questions and to take action, make your core values list, make your boundaries list, make those lists so that when you start doubting yourself, you can go back to those lists and you can say, you know what? Those don't align with my boundaries. These things do not align with my core values. And I'm not telling anybody here to take big leaps, baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
Small steps get us to big goals, get us to big action, right? I mean, Jenny, I know that every single freaking day. We take a lot of steps.
You know it all too well.
Yes. So those gradual steps, take the gradual steps. Take it easy, have some grace on yourself, but take the steps, take the action, because we can all internalize this and we can all reflect on this. But the next step is actually being proactive and taking the action. So are you ready to alter that thought, your mindset, and what you attract?
Mm-hmm.
That's a biggie. We talked about this earlier. What are you attracting? If you want or desire certain things or people in your life, it is important to embody those qualities and live what you want to attract. Live what you want to attract. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I love the word you used earlier. You embody.
Embody.
Yeah.
Embody it. Live it. I mean, you're the one. And you know what? You ever heard like, if you embody joy or happiness, that's going to show, you're going to glow. Have you ever tried that? Like I have. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it makes such a difference, because the people that are attracted to that and come to say, hey, you just glow. Hey,
Mhm.
I like what you're doing. Or, hey, you have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's also interesting, I've done this exercise when I've taken NLP workshops, which is neuro linguistic programming, and there are times it's like there was a question like that, can you just change your physiological state? And the answer was yes.
Yeah.
So it's almost like if you're like mad or anything like that, just almost like forcing that smile. Like there is this change that can just instantly happen. And doesn't mean necessarily like all of a sudden you're happy and you're not dealing with the crap that you were worried about, but it's like just that little shift in like forcing that smile or just thinking about something and just standing taller and then not hunched over, just all those little physical changes. Like it's incredible. Like we tried it in an exercise. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. You can feel the change in the physiological state.
Have you ever done that exercise where there's a bunch of people in the room and they're reading something and you're the one isolated, you're the one and they're like, you're no good, you're this, you're that. And you have a strong constitution, like you have a strong inner being, right? But then like you go around the room and like 20 people have said like negative things. And it's like, you start internalizing that and you start feeling that and you're like, oh my God.
No, I have never done that.
It is the craziest thing.
I am not going to do that.
It is, and it was like when we did it and we did it like in a counseling class and it's like the impact, the internal impact, it's almost like being bullied, right? Bully after bully after bully. And that internal impact was like every comment, that negative comment was like a boom, 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 right? Yeah. And you think, gosh, I have a strong inner core. Like but after 20 people have done that to you over and over and over, it gets harder to get up. And so that's why you're saying, yeah, we all go through stuff. And every day isn't going to be like, ice cream and cake and candy and like joyous and whatever. But if we embrace it and embrace the feelings and work through them, and then also put out the joy and the happiness, and we're going to feel it. Our like you said, our physiological state is going to change.
Yeah.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I love what you said there because I think it's so important. So my last bit here is if you're looking for new friendships or relationships that align with the changes you are making in your life, it would stand to reason that you connect with people who have similar values and function in their authenticity, and those who can be clear about their intentions, boundaries, and beliefs. They will be people that walk in alignment many times with your own values. So
I love that. I love that. It totally works really well with this phrase I heard in the last event I was just in.
Yeah.
And the lady said along those lines about paying attention to the people and the relationships that you're in. She goes, because if you don't, and you're talking about, it's not in alignment. Yeah. She said, you don't have a circle, you have a cage.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I wrote her in the private chat. I was like, ooh, that was good. It's not a circle, it's a cage. And it's so true because imagine you don't have this supportive circle, you have this cage, and it's maybe that cage is formed from those people like in that exercise, they're just attacking you and not really serving you. Yeah. This is where the whole, like, does this serve me? I think it plays out really, really clearly when you look at relationships. Is it draining you? Does it bring you joy? Do you cringe when you see the caller ID and go like, if you want, I'm like, I'm just going to answer that later. I'm just going to let that go to voicemail. I mean, you're saying those kinds of things that you gotta check that.
Oh, you really absolutely. Check in with yourself. I think this is the biggest thing is we get stuck in it, right? So occasionally take that step out, take the step out of the loop, out of the circle, out of the continuum of negativity, of things that are being oppressive in your life. Take a step out, be your own disruptor. Yeah. And I love that. When I think about that, I know people think, oh my gosh, disruptor. Yeah. Disrupt your cycle, disrupt your path, because that is many times the beginning to change. So I love that. Oh my gosh. You don't have a circle, you have a cage. That is impacting.
It is. Make a meme.
Yeah, no kidding,
Make
right?
an Instagram post.
Dang. That is so good. Well, I think there's so much here in relation to, how we think about what is or what is not serving us, and how we live our lives based on what is and what is not serving us. As far as I'm concerned, I'm past 50 now. And honestly, I'm like, I'm going to do things that are serving me. And it is not selfish. It is selfish when you don't help yourself.
Oh yeah. I completely agree with that. It's true. And it's unfortunate that many of us have grown up thinking and been indoctrinated with the opposite philosophy.
Yeah.
Where we think like, oh, that's so selfish. It's like, no, you got to take care of yourself. Otherwise you can't show up fully for other people.
Yeah.
And then sure the people around you have to take care of you. It is just like, had you just taken care of yourself in the first place.
Exactly. And you know how they always say on the plane, you got to pull down the face mask and put it on yourself before you go and help somebody else. Same thing. Coffee cup's got to be full. Otherwise, it's going to be drained and you have nothing.
Exactly.
Right? You don't have any fuel. You don't have what you need. You don't have the water to, grow your body and, keep it functioning. So it's like there are so many things. And yet we've been conditioned to give and give and give and give and give and not take care of ourselves and our own needs. Yeah. And I'm not saying, because I love being of support to people. I love it. But at the same time, we've got to make sure we take care of ourselves before we also empty our cup, so to speak.
Totally agree.
All right, my dear.
You ready for
the nuggets? Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. I would say make sure, and it's gonna, address some of the things we're talking about here. Make the time to be reflective. Take that space. Take that time. Understand where you're at in your life, and not just understand where you're at, but how to make the decision about what is and what's not serving you. How to take the next steps. So important. We have to do that reflection. Be your own disruptor. Take a step outside of your what's normal for you or what's the norm for you in that circle of action, and take a step out. Be your own disruptor and say, and look inside and go, what in here is or is not serving me?
Mm-hmm.
So there it is.
Yeah, mine is like, give yourself permission to treat yourself and spend money within reason, within budget. But, it's just about like serving what serves you. And if that's buying that bouquet of flowers, if that's buying, that nice pair of earrings, just treat yourself to that. Because I think sometimes we lose touch of what that feels like, because we get into this negative self-giving where we're giving so much of ourselves that you forget to take care of yourself, like we were just talking about at the end. And so I think, so my nugget is to just, tap into that and allow yourself to enjoy something so you can feel what it's like to love yourself again. So that's it.
Yeah. And nurture yourself. I love that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, everyone who has joined us today, who has spent time with us, who has offered comments. I know Tony has spent some time with us. We're here every Thursday. We love your input. We love that you engage with us, that you submit your questions to us. So if you have any questions for us, please submit them to the Life, Love, and Money page, Facebook page. You can also submit your questions to us at the Life, Love, and Money page on Twitter or YouTube. And make sure to follow us on Thursdays while we're here, and at our Life, Love, and Money show with Summer and Jen YouTube page. So if you want to go there now, you can subscribe. That would really help us out. That would be supporting us and what we love to do. We are just trying to get this information out, which is so important. There's so many great nuggets here that we offer. Right now, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because you never know who might need to hear what we're saying today and what's in those previous episodes. All right, my friends out there, take care of yourself. Have a beautiful day. We love you. Ciao. Thank you, Jen, my wonderful co-host. Thank you.
She's awesome. Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you for watching the Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen. Dr. Summer Watson is the owner of the production and coaching company Core Women, LLC, is a doctor of psychology, has a depth of experience working in both for-profit and nonprofit in human services and mental health, is a professional coach, seminar host, documentary film producer, and an author. Jen Fontania is a former financial advisor and now a certified money coach, speaker, and has published 6 books. She has worked with organizations such as the Walt Disney Company, Warner Brothers, Target, Goodwill, and the U.S. Air Force. She loves working with women and helps them master their money and mindset to empower them to build the ultimate life without worrying about money. Join Summer and Jen every week as they go live on the Life, Love, and Money Show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn.